Yo, what's going on guys? It's Dude here, and today we're back with a brand new video. This time around I've decided to do a comprehensive test on the wide body as well as the wide tire offset. I haven't seen anyone make a very detailed video surrounding the wide body. I feel like it's something that you encounter in Gran Turismo 7 really often, and giving a definitive answer on what works best for which situation will be very helpful information moving forward when making your street car builds on Gran Turismo 7. Now there's going to be a lot of numbers and information in this video. I'm going to be testing multiple different variables, 8 different variables in fact, the first of which being no wide body with stock rims, and then no wide body with stock rims and wide tires, no wide body with custom rims, no wide body with custom rims and wide tires, and then the exact same criteria for the wide bodied cars. Now just a disclaimer, and I want to make sure I throw this out there, the wide rim offset does absolutely nothing. It is just an aesthetic choice, and it has no performance on your car. Also today, we're not going to be testing the rim size as far as how many inches it is. On some cars, deviating the rim size from default does have a very tiny impact on your performance points. I'm talking 0.02 or 0.03, but because the performance difference is not really detectable by a human being, I'm also not going to account for the different rim sizes. But one thing I did pick up on was if you change it from default, it will generally go down 0.02 depending on the car that you're driving. Now the car I'm going to be using today is the Toyota Supra 3.0 Turbo from 1988. Now this car is also going to have all of the aero parts equipped on it as well, so it kind of provides a nice balance of good straight line speed, good cornering, lots of downforce, decent low speed agility, decent traction. I feel like it's just a very average vehicle in this game, so I thought it would be a good test dummy to use for all these different variables that I'm going to be testing. So part 1 of this breakdown is using in-game stats to try to gain some information on what the wide body and wide tires might do. And there's no hand testing in this whatsoever. I'm simply using the numbers that are provided to us in the tuning sheet. Because I'm putting it into a chart, we should be able to see any trends moving in one direction or the other when it comes to quarter mile time, rotational G, as well as the performance points rating. And when we open the chart here, the first thing that pops off the page to me is the performance points really doesn't change a whole lot with the first 6 variables. It hovers around the mid to high 753 performance points range. However, when you equip the custom rims while having a wide body on, it makes a jump of 5 performance points, which may not sound like a lot, but trust me, this is a massive difference considering everything about the car is identical other than the wide body and the custom rims. So the first thing of note with the quarter mile times is on the no wide body section, it appears when you have wide tires, this does indeed get you a faster quarter mile time by quite a considerable amount considering the length of the simulation that GT does. I have to only assume this is because the rear tires are wider and they have more grip, which helps put the power to the ground more quickly. Also a very similar theme for the wide bodied cars as well. Now while the quarter mile time does test the practical acceleration, this obviously doesn't account for any sort of top speed or anything like that, which we may get into later in the video. And lastly, the rotational G values that I pulled from the game. Now these, just like the performance points rating, were very similar on the top 6 variables. Now the last 2 with the wide body custom rims and the wide body custom rims with wide tires seem to make a big jump in this area, providing a lot more lateral grip through the corners. And this is a big reason why I think the performance points rating is so much higher. Now those are in-game stats, and as we know, most of the time they are not 100% accurate. In fact, they're often very inaccurate. So that brings us to the first of my actual hand testing that I did for this wide body and wide tires test, and this is what I like to call the grip test. So to break down what I did for the grip test, I wanted to make sure that driver variation and my ability to do the exact same thing every time, where it was simplified to a degree where for all 8 of the variables I could basically do the exact same thing over and over like a robot, and it will get accurate tests on which variable is the best and which is the worst. So for the test, I basically went to the Blue Moon Bay Speedway Oval and I took sector 2, but there's a catch. I set my 4th gear up to max out at 175 miles per hour at all times. This eliminates any potential straight line speed deficit that one variable might have over the other. I also ensured that in turn 3 I couldn't take the corner flat out or anywhere close to flat out, because that would defeat the purpose of a grip test in the first place, and you do have to slow down for the final corner and take it like a high-speed corner at a typical circuit. This is a very good controlled environment to test something like this. While any minor mistake can cause a difference in the time, I am very consistent at this track. Actually, in the circuit experience, I'm leading pretty much every single one of the sectors, including the full lap time. So I do think I know what I'm doing enough, and I gave each variable 15 to 20 laps to ensure that I got the best time possible, and these were the results that I came up with. So the first thing of note is obviously with no wide body and stock rims, it's definitely by far the slowest that I tested. It wasn't really even much of a question, it was the slowest. I'm actually shocked how much slower it was. And as far as the best non-wide body version, I felt that to be the no wide body custom rims with wide tires, just barely over the no wide body stock rims with wide tires. And once again, to the first two wide bodied variables, I definitely saw a slight increase overall with the wide body providing more grip. But where it gets really interesting is once again when you get into the custom rims wide body options. Those two options are far superior to the other ones above it. Now I know 1/10 of a second or 1/10 and a half does not seem like a massive amount of time, but considering how much time you are spending in this corner for this very short test, it is extremely noticeable. And again, when you put the custom rims on a wide bodied car, it completely transforms the performance, and I can't stress that enough, especially for the cornering. So what we can take from the first two tests is it seems like wider tires as well as the wide body provide extra grip in the low speed corners on traction and provide extra grip in the high speed corners as well. So far in the test, it really does seem like the wide bodied cars with the wide custom rims seem to be on another level above a rest of the variables. With that being said, a lot of people who watch my channel actually do race at tracks like Daytona or Route X, where top speed is extremely important, and you could definitely lose a lot of time on the straightaways if you have a wide body. That's at least what a lot of people have been saying, so I decided to make sure I did a test on it myself, which brings us to the final part of this comparison, the top speed test. Now what I did, because the top speeds, at least at 220 miles per hour, were so close amongst all the variables, I couldn't simply use a mile per hour or kilometer rating because we don't have decimal points. Also, trying to calculate the RPM is also a bit of a flawed concept because the RPM bounces around a lot just naturally because of the way the game runs and the engines work. So I feel like the test I found was probably the most accurate way to test this car's top speed. You pull out of the pits, I put the car in automatic, and I just let the car accelerate on this white line here on the right. When you get to this part of the track here at Route X, we have a hill. Now when we go down this hill, we'll accelerate all the way to 224 miles per hour, which is actually faster than what this car's terminal velocity is on the flat surface. So the car will begin to slow down again, and the more quickly the car gets to 219 miles per hour after the hill, the slower it is. The more slowly the car gets to 219 miles per hour, the more fast it is. Now this is only a problem at 220 miles per hour. If you're racing cars that go 250 or 300 miles per hour, the difference is going to be multiple mile per hour between some of these variables. But this should give you an idea of what works best if you're going to be running at Daytona or Route X. Now the first thing that jumps off the page is across the board, the wide-bodied cars are much faster to get down to 219 miles per hour, which is a bad thing once again. Now the interesting thing that I found is that wide tires do not really have any effect on top speed whatsoever. So if you're thinking about trying to run non-wide tires to lower the surface area to get more top speed, that really isn't a thing in this game. But the stock rims on the non-wide bodied versions are actually a little bit faster than the custom rims. Now I don't know exactly why this is, and I did test it multiple times. So if you do want to get that little tiny bit more top speed, I recommend maybe using the stock rims with the wide tires. Now once again, the difference between 9900 meters to 219 and 9790 is about 0.1 miles per hour. In fact, maybe it's actually a little bit less than 0.1 miles per hour, which again, thousandths of a second can be the difference between winning and losing, especially on Route X, but it is not really a massive difference, and I wouldn't worry about it too much. So I do want to say the difference between 8210 at the bottom and 9900 is about 0.8 miles per hour, give or take. I think it's a little bit more, like 0.85 miles per hour. Of course, this is difficult to calculate. This is just my inkling based on the testing that I've done so far. The faster that you're going down the straights, once again, if you're going 250 to 300 miles per hour, this does result in a multiple mile per hour drop using the wide body. So the wide body does really start to hurt you at Daytona and Route X the faster that you go. Now really keep that in mind before you bring one of those cars to that track expecting to have the best setup, because a lot of people at this point have figured out that no wide body has a much better top speed. We also know that the non-wide bodied custom rims do provide a slight grip edge over the stock rims. If you're racing a road car at Daytona, I would go with the no wide body and custom rims with wide tires option. If you're racing at Route X, I would likely likely go with the no wide body stock rims and wide tires. But again, you really can't go wrong with any of the non-wide bodied versions. I wouldn't really lose too much sleep over using any of these. I think these are all good options. Now, the reason that I don't clump Blue Moon Bay Speedway or Northern Isle, which are two other ovals, into that equation is because I do think that the wide body options are still better due to the extra grip and the extra traction you get through turn 1 and the extra lateral grip you also get through the aforementioned turn 3 in our previous test. It will be faster to run a wide body on these cars as well as wide tires. And in conclusion, at every single road course, I think running the last option, which is the wide body with the custom rims and wide tires, will always 100% of the time be the best option. At this point, there's really no disputing it. I think a lot of people assume this off the rip anyways, and now this is basically just confirmed looking at these two-hand tests that I completed here. So I'd like to know, guys, now that you've seen this information, will this change what you actually end up doing when you build your road cars? Are you a wide body guy or a non-wide body guy? What kind of tracks do you like to run road cars on? I really like to hear in the comment section below, because I do a lot of different types of racing with these cars myself, and some of the results in this test were extremely eye-opening, especially the difference when you put on the custom rims on the wide body. I didn't expect it to be that big of a difference as far as the handling goes. But yeah, that's all the information I got for you guys today. Let me know if you enjoyed. If you did find this video helpful and you did enjoy, please leave a like. I greatly appreciate it. It does help a lot in the YouTube algorithm. Also, leaving a comment, and if you're new, subscribing really helps me as well. But without letting this drag on too long, I hope you guys have a fantastic night, and I'm out. Peace.